Okay, thanks for attending our session today. Hi, I'm Angie Eilers, the founder of Your Turn, which is student guidance software for high school students. Your Turn is a college and career pathway mapping tool, and we use the student information system data from PowerSchool to provide a goal setting and progress tracking app, not unlike what Fitbit does, but we're a Fitbit for education. And I'd like to introduce Claire Peterlin from Northern Minnesota.
Hi, my name is Claire Peterlin. I'm the director of the Itasca Area Schools Collaborative Next Career Pathways program.
Great. I'm going to put up our contact information quickly before we launch into our conversation so that everybody watching can see where we're coming from. We are in, both of us are in Minnesota, and Claire is in Northern Minnesota, and the Itasca Area School Consortium makes up about 8 schools, 7 school districts, and I'm based in Minneapolis. And I can put this slide up later if people want to grab this contact information, but here's Claire's information, email information. You can find me at Angie@yourturn.org. You can contact any of us at info@yourturn.org, and here's our website. Okay, so the conversation today is about well, we know in North Dakota that there's, I heard your governor say that there's quite a bit of money in your career and technical education fund. So we're hoping that we can talk about how Your Turn is used for career pathways planning. And we look forward to talking with anyone afterwards via Q&A or email. But let me start with interviewing Claire, since she's in the schools every day and across the vast swath of land in Northern Minnesota. Claire, can you tell us about the Itasca Area School Collaborative and then the start of Career Pathways?
Yep. So IASC is 7 school districts and 8 high schools, like you mentioned. Our 8 high schools are Nashwauk, Keewatin, Greenway, Grand Rapids, Big Fork, Deer River, Hill City, Floodwood, and Northland Community Schools in Reamer. Our Career Pathways program started in 2016 with a grant from the state of Minnesota's Department of Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Group. That first grant really got us up and going with designing 9th through 12th grade programming that would help students explore and build skills for needed workforce sectors. So we started that program with 3 high schools and in 2 career pathways, healthcare and manufacturing. Our program is unique in that it's not just one school creating programming, but it's a collaboration of schools, also with our higher education partner, ICC, Itasca Community College, helping us make sure that the transition between the high school programming to the college programming is as seamless as possible. So since 2016, we developed our model for career pathways, which is Gateway, Core, Capstone. So at 9th and 10th grade, students can take a Gateway class, which lets them explore all the career opportunities within one of those fields. Then we advise them on what courses that they should take that'll prepare them for that field in their core courses. And these can be academic classes or elective classes. And then we give them capstone experiences, such as internships or college in the school credits, certification options like nursing assistant, really to give them a well-rounded experience. And so they get some hands-on insight into that career field before moving on to whatever their post-secondary plans are. So since 2016, we had a lot of really great energy and success with those first 2 pathways at the first 3 schools. So we decided to expand our program, and now we're in all 8 schools of the Itasca Area Schools Collaborative. We still work with Itasca Community College, but we've also expanded our partnership into other community colleges such as Hibbing Community College and Mesabi Range Community College. And then we also expanded the number of career pathway offerings that we have. So we now have healthcare, manufacturing, construction, natural resources and agriculture, business, computer science, and education. So we have a lot of course offerings, a lot of teachers that are involved in this, and all of it is done with the goal of making our students aware of what are the really high quality career options right in our region, giving them some experiences that partner with our business community with the hopes that when they make their choices for what their career options are after high school, they know that there are opportunities right here in their backyard.
Wow, it's so exciting for Northern Minnesota. And I know this is exactly what people are talking about across the country. It is a part of a really big national an important movement, especially given our economic downturn right now. And I know it's true in North Dakota as well. And I think you're at the forefront, and it's exciting to work together so that you can implement your vision. My vision was to help kids graduate high school, period, help them track their credits, and then to see themselves in a 2-year or a 4-year school, and we could show them eligibility. But importantly is for them to see in their curriculum, their high school curriculum, that they can be acquiring credits that are associated with a true career pathway. So could you tell us more about your vision for how you see a software solution that would help guide and support students and educators?
Yeah, so in career pathways, one of the perceptions that we have to correct is that the goal of career pathways is not necessarily to track a student into a specific career path. We don't require students to sign up for career pathways. Really, our goal is to just increase opportunities to give them those kinds of experiences. And so for a long time, since the beginning, actually, we haven't really had a method, a standardized approach of tracking students' progress through a career pathway. Um, I've even said that sometimes students are passively participating in career pathways just because they have an interest in healthcare and now they've found themselves in a healthcare class without taking that step of really identifying themselves as a healthcare career pathway student. So just like Angie said, that this is like Fitbit, but for schools and tracking student goals, we look at it as the same way for tracking career pathway progress. So our idea is that we can use Your Turn to pull in all of the credit requirements for a career pathway, and then in real time, a student can see their progress along their pathway. We also say that it's an equal success for a student to try out a career pathway and decide it's not for them as it is for them to decide that it is. So what I really like about bringing in Your Turn into our program is that a student at the beginning of the school year could decide that they're a construction career pathway student, set that goal for themselves, and then after taking their classes first semester or their first year, they can change that goal, decide that they want to go into business or they want to go into healthcare, because that's really what this is all about, is just letting students explore. And so that option for them and their parents and any caring adult that's in that student's lives, including us as educators, we can help that student once they set that goal for themselves. We can see that data, we can help them make informed decisions. And really it's just all about their personal success and them feeling like they have ownership over their path in high school.
Yeah, I really love that exploratory nature of it. I mean, it's like they're indicating to you or others, the educators and their parents, they're exploring an interest. But it's become really clear to me that this is not a terminal degree. This is not a sort of a one-way cul-de-sac that they're going down to. They can go down a variety of different pathways, and that's a really exciting element to your program. I love it. So then how do you see, you talked a little bit about, and we're going to demo the product after our discussion, but how do you see Your Turn delivering on that vision, especially with the number of stakeholders who are involved, because it's more than just the student?
Right. So traditionally in the schools that we have an IASC that use Your Turn, it's a lot of the counselors and administrators and then the students and their parents that are using the features of this app to track their graduation requirements, GPA, and attendance. What I see for expanded stakeholders is that our teachers, who have a lot of face-to-face time with our students in the classrooms, will also be able to help the students in real time. I see this coming into use during our registration periods and during our promotional events for career pathways, or when we're out in the community. Really, it's a call to action for students so that if they have an experience, there's a guest speaker in the classroom, or they go out to a job fair, or they go out on a tour, or they finish some sort of career exploration experience and they decide that this is for them and they want to know what it'll take to complete the pathway or to prepare themselves for that field, that they can go right onto their phone or on their computer and they can set that goal for themselves. So really, I look at it as the call to action that we haven't had to date, and that we haven't had in a way that is very responsive. This will let us have access to those students and let them make that decision and take that responsibility as soon as they make that choice for themselves.
Yeah, I love it. That kind of takes us back to the Fitbit analogy in a way, because we're all getting accustomed to what I think of as the quantified self, right? We measure our steps, we have health trackers, even financial planning trackers like mint.com. And this is just an education tracker that gets the insight and the data and the insight of the data and the credentials and credits and that into the hands of the students and parents who are ultimately the stakeholders. It's ultimately their life and their pathway. And, like I like to say, it's your turn. Here you go. It's getting the driver's seat of your education and your life. And I think we've all heard a lot of cries for more student engagement, and particularly now when we're in this COVID era with distance and online learning and hybrid learning, it's more important than ever, I think, that parents and students are really engaged in following along, understanding what they need to do and where they're at, and especially in relation to where they want to go. So it's been super fun to collaborate with you, Claire. It's going to be a fun year ahead for all of us, despite the conditions around us. Software can be a solution, right? Software has been a part of all of our lives now for a long time, and it continues to have an important role. So, this software tool for us really is just meant to fill in some gaps that were, used with recording things on paper or hoping to transmit communication through a variety of different verbal methods, but here we can capture it, and it's contained in a software tool that we hope is super simple for everybody to use and follow. So thanks for your time, Claire. I know you've got to get back to a bunch of busy educators, so we appreciate your time today. And I'm going to jump into a demo for everybody else. So we'll let Claire go here, and I'll move into the demo. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Angie.
Bye. So I'm going to pull up my screen of what the Your Turn software tool looks like. If, yeah, can you just, just click out. Thanks, Claire. I'll show you that we have a website as well. If you want to see more about Your Turn, there is we're at yourturn.org, and you can read about the educators' experience with Your Turn and how educators experience it. Here's a little video of a teacher who has a video blog that she communicates with her students. She just did a demo to her students about how our Your Turn product is working for her in her classroom. And the students can read a little bit more about the Your Turn software tool, as can the parents, of course. You can always request a demo from our website. And if you are a customer, you can log in from our website. Otherwise, let me jump right to the app itself. We have a partnership with PowerSchool, so it wouldn't be necessary for educators or students or parents to log in separately. This would be a single sign-on situation. Our Your Turn logo will show up on the left side of the navigation bar of PowerSchool. So logging on to PowerSchool users is a common behavior. Now they're just going to be able to click on Your Turn and it will jump out to user page. Or if schools are Google customers, they can sign in that way. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way and sign on through email since I'm not right now logged on to PowerSchool. And I'm going to show two use cases in this video. One is from the counselor or the educator's perspective, meaning administrators, classroom teachers, as Claire was saying, more and more classroom teachers are paying attention to the different career pathways and curricular pathways that students are choosing. I'm going to just sign on as a counselor, which is exactly how all of the educators would experience the dashboard from Your Turn. And then we'll talk about the students and the parents' view. So when an educator logs on, they're greeted every day with a summary of a variety of things that we all would normally be tracking. And attendance, of course, is primarily an important indicator for how a student is progressing. We know from research that if a student misses 10% or more of school in a school year, they are likely to fail a class. So tracking attendance is an important thing to follow. And this is, the data is refreshed every night. So this would be an ongoing list of students that you're concerned about. If they are missing credits or have failed a class, they're going to be off track of graduating from high school. So credits are an important thing to track. And if there's concerns around students' credits, it would show up here. And then as students set goals, That's the good news category in green. You'll see a list, and this list should be ever growing throughout the year as more and more students set goals. Now, I want to point out that anything that's in blue is clickable, meaning that you can jump to that student's name, or whatever's in blue is an actionable item. I'm going to drill down on Alexander, who's got some attendance issues. Not too bad. He's missing 11% of school. That could be affecting his GPA. He's likely missed a lot of school that has lowered his GPA. But an educator can see a high-level summary of Alexander's work, that he has set some goals. He has set a Itasca Community College as a goal, and then you can see a summary of his credits. And this is all pulled from PowerSchool. You can see the historical number of classes that he's taken. If we were truly plugged into PowerSchool, you'd see the actual grades as well. And this way you can just get an idea that Alexander has taken all the classes that he needs to be taken. Looks like no trouble there. If you have any concerns about interpreting what this progress bar means, the caret indicates what the target is. The darkened line means the progress, and the unshaded line means that's a requirement still to be met. So that's the counselor's view of some detail on Alexander. I want to point out that a counselor or an educator can also keep and take and keep notes on a student. So let's say you want to just keep a running record of things that you've talked about with Alexander in the past. This would just be for your private notes so that you can remember from the next time that he comes into your office. And that's just something that you could refer to just refresh your memory. But you can also take a public note, which is going to be pushed out and show up on his dashboard, and he and his parents will see it. So you can say something that you know that you discussed, and then he and his parents will see that, and there will be no excuses for not receiving communication, because that will show up on the dashboard. You can always remove these as they get old or outdated. Again, everything that's in blue is clickable. You can see where Alexander's been enrolled in the past, who his guardians are. You can add new guardians if you know that there's a new step-parent in the family, for example. And we've created tags to help you sort the number of students that you're working with. Alexander is in PSEO, he's interested in STEM, he's on the cross-country team. You can always create more tags and then have a pre-generated list, or if something comes up that you've just thought of that you'd like to create a new tag, you have the ability to do that. And then finally, if you are sitting in your office and Alexander comes in and asks a question, you can say, well, let's jump out to your dashboard, Alexander, and see what your concerns are. And now we're going to be seeing it from the student's point of view. So this is the student's dashboard I was mentioning, and this is also what the parents see when they log on. So sure enough, Alexander has an attendance concern. So a red flag shows up on his dashboard, but also this triggers a push out notification through text and email, depending if we have access through PowerSchool of the parent's email and the student's cell phone and the parent's cell phone, we can push out a notification that there's an attendance concern. But then you can also see that he is on track of the goals that he's set for himself, and he can look into further detail about that. His GPA is okay, his attendance could be a little bit better, his credits are okay, and that does qualify him for community college, because Itasca Community College is GPA agnostic, and as long as he graduates from high school, he's on track to be eligible for enrolling in Itasca Community College. We build in high school graduation as a default goal for everyone, so that's not removable. But Alexander can always remove this if he's changed his mind about that college, and he can always add more colleges. So there may be new colleges that have come to his attention, or that he's talked about with his family or his counselor, and he can see that he's on track for that college as well. Like I said, students can add and delete these every day. It's just to give them an indication of how they're doing. And like Claire was saying, this is a way of exploring interest. And it's not a terminal, it's not an obligation, just like with career pathways, it's just exploring. Here are the notes that I talked about. You can see the counselor has pushed out some notifications to Alexander and his parents. They can both see that. And again, a credit summary is exactly like what the counselor sees. Alexander can see, and his parents can see, the history of his course taking. And really he's in pretty good shape. So that is a view from your dashboard, the number of functions and the various ways you can drill down very specifically. You can sort your students in a variety of different ways. I showed at the high level the concerns around attendance and credits, but you can also sort students by, let's say, graduation year, or and you just, let's say you just want to look at your freshmen, or those tags that you created that I mentioned. You might just want to sort out those students who are in gifted and talented, for example, last name, etc. I'll just do a generic search of all students. This is just made up data. You can sort by alpha order, of course, by grade level, attendance again. And like I said, we built in high school graduation as a default goal for everyone. So these students look like they are off track of graduating high school on time. And of course, that's going to be of interest to you. And that's where you might want to triage around the number of students that you have to work with, might help prioritize your work. We know that counselors and educators have hundreds of students to work with, so it's helpful to sort them in a variety of different ways and track their progress. So that is sort of the more student drilling down tab. And then there's the goals tab that we've talked about. So the students can choose goals that you may have pre-selected. Let's say you know that your students go to these are maybe are the top 10 colleges and universities that schools in your students in your district go to. So you can, and we can help customize this list. You can generate the list of colleges and universities. As I said, the high school graduation is built in as a default goal for everyone. We pull your graduation requirements from PowerSchool, so we know exactly what is listed in your rostering. And yet these are modifiable if you want to change, if your school district changed the name from fine art to just arts, you can change that and update the name of it. It's an editable feature. And when it comes to creating more goals, colleges and universities, you can, just quickly create what you know is the graduation requirements for your students. And if this is onerous, your turn can customize this for you, and we can make the additions of the, by pulling through the National Center for Educational Statistics, the number of colleges and universities that you want to be tracking. And that way students can search any number of colleges and universities that they're interested in. So this is one way to create goals in a very specific way. Otherwise, we'll work with you on the 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States where all that data is available. So when a student adds a goal, this is what they're pulling from. They're pulling from those colleges and universities that you have set up for them. Other features are that you can add other educators simply, again, by creating an account, by using their school email, assigning it to whatever school they belong to, for example. Here's where you can create the series of tags that exist in that pull-down menu if you want to sort your students by tags that you've created. Simple enough to create the name of a tag. Let's say it's High Honors, and then that would be an option to tag your students by. You can see any number of schools. You can add schools if you're a large district. And then we've got reports. You can generate reports. You can see who's been engaging, by what grade level, over what period of time, and how frequently. This is, again, made up data, so there's nothing there. Or you can generate a concern report. Let's say you want to share this with your multi-tiered team, where you want to track those students that you have concerns about. It's generally related to credits or attendance or other concerns. And finally, you can see how the goal setting has been going, what students have been setting goals, and whether they're on track of them, and even the number of students who are not setting goals. So those are the report features. And again, we could customize this page and help generate reports that you're interested in generating from the data that is pulled from these dashboards. So again, this is the educator's view. Again, all of these names are clickable. You can see students and the more detail that's associated with students. Here's a student, for example, who is missing some credits. It's, again, a quick high-level so that she and you are aware that something needs to change. When she logs onto it and sees it from her perspective, she'll get an alert that she's missing a credit, which puts her at risk of graduating high school on time and then therefore ineligible for the colleges and universities she's chosen, even though her GPA is in good shape and her attendance is in good shape. She just needs to finish that half a credit of fine arts, and sometimes that happens. So that again is the educator's perspective. I'm going to quickly show you the how the parents and the students experience it a bit differently. The parents might have more than one child in a household, so they don't have to log on more than once. They can just log on, again, using their email that is associated with their school. And if they have more than one child in their household, they can just toggle back and forth and see the number of students in their home who they are tracking. And in this case, Beverly has a sister named Alicia, and she is in good shape, great GPA, great attendance, obviously on track to graduate high school, has set some additional goals. She's on track for all of them, but this one looks like it's a little concerning. Let's take a look. And it looks like she may be missing some credits that are associated with this particular college. It could be that she's missing a couple foreign language credits or fourth year of math. And it gives her plenty of time to amend that. Alicia's in the 11th grade, which means senior year. She could take that fourth year of math and she'll be in good shape and back on track. But I also want to point out another feature that we've added, that the students and the parents see this dashboard similarly. It's just that the students don't have the ability to see their siblings' dashboards. But from a student's perspective, they can play around with what we call the what if calculator. So we've given students a little ability to play around with their GPA. Let's say she worries that she's going to fail a chemistry class. How is that going to affect her eligibility for certain colleges and universities? She should know, like, now she realizes she can't drop below a 3.2 or she may be ineligible for this college or university. And similarly, we want students to know that in high school, they don't have control over much, but they do have control over how often they show up and how much effort they put into their schooling. So students should see that if they drop below that 90% threshold of attendance, it puts them at risk of failing a class. So they want to stay above 90% for sure. And if they've put in less effort or they do fail a course, they get some insight, they get a heads up about how it makes them perhaps ineligible for something. So it could be the motivation they need to get their GPA up, bump their effort up just a little bit more to stay within the range of being eligible for their dream school. So this, in a way, this is called Your Turn because we're putting the power of the insight of data analytics into their hands, the students and the family's hands, so they have a much better understanding of how their children are faring and where they stand, and they have the information in a simple view so that it's not overwhelming and they can follow along and stay engaged. Again, notes from the counselors, the credit summary, who's guardians. And then what Claire and I were talking about is we are building out what's called a career pathways module, and I'm going to show you a prototype of what we're building in that. I think you'll find it exciting. Again, they sign on similarly as they would for their as you would for your normal sign-on, but we're adding the career pathways feature, which is to say that we are going to provide the option for the students to choose not only post-secondary goals that they're shooting for, but now different career pathways. So that is, here's an example in which Jack has not only chosen some goals, but he's chosen a career pathway, and now he can track his credits toward his career pathway. And in this case, he's moving along smoothly. In some cases, the credits, an elective credit counts as both an elective, but also goes towards his career. He's got science credits, but as well, this wellness credit counts both for his career pathway and as a science credit. And then as an educator, you can sort through the number of different pathways. If you want to see who's in the business track or the computer science track, you can see your students that way. And finally, I want to show you that the, let's see. yeah, from the student's view, they can see that they have added a pathway option. The student, Jack, has chosen the career of healthcare, and he can again track to see that he is moving along on his career, his chosen career pathway of healthcare. Just like the post-secondary option goals, this can be added, changed, and deleted. If he wants to move from healthcare to business, then he can drop his career pathway and consult with his counselor, add another pathway, and see if his credits align. He would see an automatic alignment of what credits he's taken that would qualify for the career pathway that he's chosen. So I hope that gives you a good understanding of both YourTurn, the software platform that tracks high school graduation and eligibility beyond, but also tracks career pathways, if that is something that your school district and your educators are interested in. Again, I hope you'll reach out to us at yourturn.org. You can reach us by just signing in at the bottom, and that will reach us. And there is also a little background on the company, and we've been funded by the National Science Foundation as well as AT&T EdTech Consortium that has invested in startup companies that are research-based and are moving the ball forward for students as they track their progress through high school and beyond. So I hope we'll hear from you. We're based in Minnesota, so you can assure that our customer service is excellent. And I'm at Angie@yourturn.org, or you can reach us at info@yourturn.org, and our website is www.yourturn.org. I really want to thank everybody at NDCEL for the opportunity to put on this panel with Claire Peterlin. So please reach out to us if you've got any questions. We're happy to answer any questions. Again, I'll put up the information for Claire Peterlin, and here's our contact information. And we look forward to hearing from you, and good luck with this school year. Thanks very much.